So I've got an exciting day today. I'm heading down to see my brother. Now, I haven't seen my brother in probably a few months now because of the whole lockdown thing. So for us to get together and play a little bit of golf is always quite a nice thing. And also I wanted to actually introduce Paul to you, because Paul is a very good golfer himself, played lots of big events over the years, and he's got some exciting news which I want to share with you. But I'm heading down to St.Mellion Golf Club. Now, St.Mellion Golf Club is about an hour and a half away from me here. It's a beautiful golf course down in Cornwall, holds some huge events over the years, some amazing golf that's been played around that golf course. I've been lucky enough to be able to play it a number of times. So let's head over the border to Cornwall and go and meet up with my brother. Right, just arrived at St.Mellion and it is raining. We have been driving through some heavy rain. There is due to be some showers, but I'm hoping to sort of skip through the showers as the day goes on. But luckily, working with FootJoy, they do some decent rain gear. So I've popped that on, so I'm nice and warm. And anyway, let's get out on the golf course and have a little wander around before Paul turns up. So St.Mellion for me has actually been quite a big part of my golf growing up, I suppose. I've played so many events here as a youngster growing up, through playing junior golf, playing the sort of Cornish events that we came down and played in, and obviously St.Mellion Junior Open was massively on the schedule for that. But very early on there was a huge event that they used to hold down here, which was called the Benson and Hedges event. And I remember coming down here with my golf club with Churston. We had a junior section that used to bring us down, they used to get us tickets to come down to see all the big players. And I remember seeing Elazabeth, Seve and Sandy Lyle and Nick Fowdo, Ian Woosnam, all these big names that you will all know and remember from times gone by with the golf. And as you come up the driveway here at St.Mellion, when the Benson and Hedges event was on, just on the left hand side, which is where I'm standing right now, which is the 10th hole of the old course back then. It used to be called the old course, it's now called the Kerno course. 36 hole venue here at St.Mellion, and this particular hole is where a lot of the tour players and PGA pros from around the area used to come and give people like myself a few tips. So if you ever go up to like the Open and you watch the Open event up there, you'll see that there'll be a PGA area where PGA pros will come out and give you some tips. Well, there used to be tour players that used to come over to the 10th hole here, find, you know, a group of kids like myself and certainly Lester and my brother, and they used to give us a few tips on hitting a few shots. And it was just those types of things that I kind of, you know, that sort of stick in your memory, you know. Getting to see those guys hit shots off this 10th hole was just absolutely fantastic. Here he is. Come on, chop chop. Huh? What have you brought, coffee? This is Paul Hendriksen, my brother.
How are we doing?
And you have a big announcement for us.
Yes.
What have you got to say for yourself?
Managed to have an invite to the English Open at Forest of Arden. So
wow.
Won it in a raffle.
I promised you, yeah, I promised myself that I would never caddy for you again.
Yeah.
After Wentworth, which we'll get on and talk about, but I'm back.
He's back.
I am back. Earliest memory of the of St.Mellion?
Probably the earliest I've got is actually on this hole, which is the first at St.Mellion.
Yeah.
And I remember Bernard Langer stood on here in the Benson Hedges.
Yeah.
And I think he had his persimmon-headed driver off this back tee here, and he hit this lovely little fade that kind of, I don't know if you can see, but started off at the left side of the house in the distance. Yeah. Little fade just around the corner, perfect. Left himself probably a wedge in.
Do you know much about that house up in the distance there?
The house that's the people who built this golf course. I think they're the Bond family.
Bond family, Herman and Martin.
Something like that.
Yeah. Of which Lester actually knew them. Well,
okay, yeah.
No, Chester knew them very well.
Right, yeah.
Lester's dad.
Yep.
So I know Lester used to come down here a bit with Chester and play with the Bonds down here. So I think that was Herman's house.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was definitely
I think it was one of the brothers' houses, but I'm not sure now. But yeah, should we get out and play a few holes?
Let's do it.
I feel like there's going to be some. Well, we can't play without a little bit of exchange of money.
Yeah.
So
How much you got?
Not a lot, but it's a couple of quid. Let's play for a couple of quid. All right, couple of quid.
Dear.
Right. So you're in a pretty good spot there, aren't you?
I'll take it.
240, you say?
Hit it 240, just past the tree on the left is perfect.
I'm going to hit that. I'm now in the moment of what you were talking about with Bernard Langer, that low cut. I'm liking that. About there.
Tell you what.
Is that the shot? Is that the shot you remember?
That's pretty much it, yeah. Incredible scenes.
There you go. Well, I would say that's not bad over there. Is that basically where Bernard was?
I think Bernard was further down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he did hit driver. We've just hit a couple of three woods. So I
must have been running.
Yeah, I honestly think he's hit too much club as well.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad caddying.
Yeah, you get sacked for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. So one of the big things that stood out to me a number of years ago when I first had the opportunity to go and caddy for Paul at European Tour School, we hadn't spent much time together at that stage because I was away in America. Paul was still a term pro and was sort of working into becoming hopefully a tour player. Was when I started caddying for him down in Spain for second stage of tour school, the big noticeable change for me was the fact that with his distance control, he had kind of two shots in his bag with each club, with each iron basically, which was obviously his full shot, and then he had this sort of 3/4 shot that he used to play, which kind of got the yardage, the gap between one club to the next club. It kind of the next one sat in the middle. And this is what you'll notice with tour players, is their distance control is absolutely fantastic. And I'll just show you a quick example. So here's the flag. There's Paul, which is basically pin high, if anything 2 paces. And here's me. I am up the back of this green here, so not getting my yardage good at all. Is that something that you've kind of worked on over the years? Is it something that sort of jumped out to you? I mean, playing such a lot of big amateur events growing up, you know, is that something that jumped out and that's something obviously you've worked on?
Yeah, there's a saying, pin high always wins.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you don't necessarily, your irons have to be that straight. You just got to get the right distances, because there's no point hitting it, flagging it straight down the stick, getting up there like you've done, and you've got a 35-40 footer. You can push it like I've pushed it here. As long as you pin high, you're going to be a lot closer, definitely. Yeah.
And this is basically why Paul's taken the money off me over the last sort of 20 years when we've been playing golf. Pretty much sums it up for you right there. Alright, birdie putt down the hill. Starting off strong. Very strong. Just burning edges. Burning edges early.
Is that alright?
Solid start. Yeah, you can have that.
Thank you.
I've tapped mine in, but you pick that up. Well done.
Always nice to get a little half on the first. Yep.
So we've come to a part of the golf course which, again, remembering all these things when we were a bit younger, and my first encounter with Sandy Lyle was down in this ditch. Now, Sandy was down in here looking for his golf ball, and the whole crowd were kind of down in there looking as well, but it's the ditch that kind of runs between the second hole, par 5, and then over the other side is the 7th hole, which is a par 5 as well, isn't it? But you remember someone else being down there, don't you?
I remember coming up the other way, the par 5. I remember Seve being in this ditch.
Yeah.
He'd snap hooked it off the tee. It was the year he won round here.
Right, okay.
And I can't remember whether he made birdie or par, but he certainly got down in the ditch, played it out onto the fairway, and then hit the next shot on the green, the snap hook round the corner, onto the green, a tight green. And I can't remember if he rolled the putt in. He probably did for birdie. And it was just like incredible, because a golf course you were going to choose for Seve to win, it's not round here. But he had those shots that he could get himself out of the trouble.
Well, I had a chat with Sandy at the Sunningdale Foursomes this year. Didn't I? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I should have brought that up, I think.
I thought he asked you for your autograph.
Well, he asked me for a little selfie. Yeah. That's what he asked for.
Big time.
Dan,
Big time.
have a selfie. Straight at it called the caddying started, isn't it?
What do you think, caddy? Straight at it?
Yeah, straight at it. I mean, I might hug left half, but I'm going, just inside left to centre. Good moves, isn't it? And short. You're gonna have to hit him a bit harder than that in the event. All right.
Thanks.
You can have that. Good par.
Cheers. Absolute pace, wasn't it?
I'll let you have that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
It's a friendly game, isn't it?
Oh.
Fell in and fell out. Hello.
So, third hole here at St.Mellion. Now, this is as tight as it gets in golf, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Big bank on the left-hand side, which is kind of friendly, but majority of the time when the big tournaments are on, it's going to be grown up, isn't it?
Yeah.
The rough is going to be grown up.
Yeah.
But all the way down the right-hand side here is just game over.
Dead.
Absolutely game over. Any memories of this?
I remember Seve hitting one in the trap up there. I think he made birdie out of there as well.
Did he?
Yeah,
Quite useful from the tight positions, wasn't it?
He didn't hit many fairways, but he certainly could play the shots out of trouble.
Now, do you hit driver down here a lot? Would you, like in tournaments when you've played here, would you be hitting driver down here?
You've got, there's a bunker there which is 270 to carry on the left,
yeah.
Probably 260 to get to it. So you either take that one on with driver, and if you do, the fairway widens out around there. So it's almost, you could take that shot on, or you try and hit something up just behind it and leave yourself with, it would only be about 120, 130 in. So I tend to hit it just short of that trap and then try and hit a little wedge in. But it is a narrower, narrow fairway there.
It does scare me, this one. But
it's almost more
I remember St.Mellion Amateur back in, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Early 2000s. Yeah. Gary Wolstenholme played in it. Yeah. And he hit driver all 4 rounds. I don't even know, I think, did he win it? One year, I don't know if he won it. I think he might have won it that year.
He would have been up.
Driver, all four rounds. Thank you very much. Yeah. And it was very windy.
Yeah.
So
he's probably the straightest player I've ever played with. So.
Yeah, and you've played against him.
Yeah.
And you've beaten him.
I did beat him. Yeah.
So technically, you've beaten Tiger Woods.
So yeah, if you work it back, yeah, because he beat Tiger Woods in the Walker Cup, I think, wasn't it?
And then you beat him.
So then I beat
and then
him,
I've beaten you.
And you've beaten.
So I've beaten Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Happy days.
New Vokey out, testing it, 58 degrees. Take that every time. Right, we've got one to go 1 up. Is it to go 1 up?
I think so.
1 up through 5?
Yeah.
Should be your through 4. Is this the 4th? What hole are we on?
4.
This is 4. Straight up, pace. Lacking a little bit of pace. Oh, yours did seem to want to move that other way. Mine feels like it wants to be left half.
This for half.
This for half.
Yep, very nice.
Did want to go that way, you know. Just a little dribble up to the right. So we made our way down to the 5th hole here. And this hole is one that scares a lot of people. When they come down to play this golf course, there's always talks about, did they get over this lake off the back tee, which is what everyone's trying to do when they come down here. Now, just before we teed off, I had a good old catch up with the director of golf here, David Moon, who kindly let us come down to play our little knock around down here. So let's get back to the clubhouse and have a little chat with David to go through what this golf course has offered over the years. Right, David, thank you very much for letting us come down and have a little play around this golf course. It brings back so many memories to me when I come down here, every time I come down here. Just give me sort of your memory, should we say, of when the Benson and Hedges was down here.
Well, I mean, for me, 1993, 94, I got employed back end of 93, and within the first few weeks we were prepping up for the B&H Benson Hedges in 1994.
Yeah.
So I've kind of gone from kind of a nice little kind of resort golf course up in the Midlands, turn up down at St.Mellion. Within a few weeks I'm kind of up on the practice ground and watching Seve and Alathabal and Langer and Els and all these great players.
Amazing.
Knowing why I was kind of not a golf, a golf professional in the highest sense of it. These guys were extraordinary. Some of the play that these guys put together over those 4 days.
And who won it those, what, 2 years?
So the first year I was here in 94 was Seve. So of course Seve was, there was all this hoo-ha about the Ryder Cup and about what was happening in the Ryder Cup. So he was really fired up. He came with a coach Mac O'Grady, which was an interesting time. Obviously there was lots of kind of bits going on behind the scenes, but it fired up Seve, who had not won on the tour I think for a couple of years. He kind of hit kind of a bit of a slump for him, and then just played some of the best golf that I've seen.
18th hole sticks out in my mind. Last shot into the 18th. That pin behind you was tucked, wasn't it? It was tucked back left, away, which is kind of, I suppose, the traditional spot for here at St.Mellion when you get big events. But was he aiming at that pin? Well,
interestingly, kind of you hear kind of the caddy, Billy Foster, I think was caddying for him, and I think Billy may tell the story. He's got a great after dinner speaker, and Billy says about that. He pulled it slightly, but he looked that good. He held his finish and kind of did it that way. But I'm a massive Seve fan, so I'm going with the kind of he knew what he was doing.
I did see that little smile at Billy after he'd hit the shot.
Yeah, I think he probably was, because he went with an iron off the tee as well. So he had a long iron in. I was just over here in the corner of what Homer Bond's old office, watching the shot from an elevated privileged position, and it was just amazing. I mean, I've been to 2 Ryder Cups, but the atmosphere, him walking down 18 was anything to match that.
And then in '99 you had the English Amateur here.
Yeah, so again it was a kind of a fledgling thing for kind of Paul Casey, eventually won it. I mean, Luke Donald was here. We had some great kind of players from the southwest that were competing as well. I mean, that was a really good event. I was unsure about how that was going to work, the English, after watching and having the B&H here, but it was an event, and the standard of golf was extraordinary. Again, Casey played Dyson in the final. Casey hit this, as we were talking about off camera, about this wonderful shot out the ditch on the 12th, and putting it onto the green, which, I don't even Seve would have taken that shot.
Really?
On. Yeah.
I mean, that's a long hole down there. I know Casey's got some serious speed, but to get it on the green from that look, I mean, I've been in that ditch many times over the years,
and we all.
And but to get it onto the green from there is pretty impressive.
Well, I think, Casey, one of the few players that I saw actually make this golf course look short.
Really?
He was one of those kind of. He turned up like Popeye, kind of eating his spinach before he went out and played, and he did, and kind of 2 or 3 of the par 5s, which you and I may kind of go, right, we'll just hit a little iron or lay up. He played quite aggressively through the whole week.
Did he?
So he had a great result in the semi-final against Jamie Elson, and then played Simon Dyson in the final. And it was a great fun because Dyson was a good player, underestimated. I think they assumed Casey was going to walk it, and he fought really hard all the way through. And but one of those where we set it up probably slightly harder than the B&H because it was a different time of year. So it was playing slightly longer off the back tees. But Casey was terrific, and good value for his win.
And then the main reason we've kind of come down here today is obviously to talk with my brother about his start in the English Open on the European Tour. And there was talks, I remember sort of, back in 2009, 2010, 2011 of possibly having that event or reigniting that event and bringing it here. But it never kind of happened.
No, I think, we'd done the precursor to it. So we did 2 kind of senior European Tour events in 07 and 08, part of the planning process for the new hotel that's behind you. And that was all that precursor to get the English Open here in 2011. But it was very much about a relationship with the Tour as well. We had and still have a great relationship with the Tour, but the important thing was trying to find a sponsor. St.Mellion had established itself and we didn't really need to go in there and invest millions of pounds in prize money. So we were looking for a suitable sponsor. And at that time, coming out of that kind of the last financial kind of meltdown, really, it was always going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
So hence why it just never ever happened. The golf course, you know, Dan and I know, deserves it. It's a world-class golf course.
Absolutely.
If we've had our day, we've had some great memories. I mean, you know, and I both know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's a 11-time European Tour venue, St.Mellion, Women's British Open, the English Amateur we just talked about.
Yeah.
You know, some great amateur events as well in addition. So yeah, I mean, if it's our lot, it's our lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for letting us come down. We're going to head out onto the course now and see how we get on.
Yeah, and good luck to you, Paul. I'm sure you'll do well.
Pretty sure that's 3 minutes already, isn't it?
Already? You counting that?
Well,
Not very often I don't find a ball. You know? Not very often at all. Ah!
no.
You beauty!
No. How have I even found this?
Oh, it's down.
You got away with that.
Down. Right, up and down to save something. Down, 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 down. Stop.
Solid. Solid par. That's taking you 1 up.
1 up, about time, eh?
So you getting into the English Open then, European Tour event, is a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
It is, yeah, big time. The event wasn't even supposed to be going on, the original schedule. And they've made a 6-tournament swing, I think, in the UK to try and combat all the COVID issues.
Yeah.
So I got a phone call 2 or 3 days ago saying, would you like to come in to the event? And I obviously took the invite.
Yeah.
The reason for the invite was because I won the English PGA Championship at Bowood last year.
Right, okay, yeah.
Which
I got to say was a bit of a surprise as well. Because I know obviously you won the PGA you won the PGA Championships in 2015.
Yeah.
At Burnham.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Hopefully we'll get a chance to go and have a little knock around there.
Yeah.
But you weren't playing that good a golf last year at that stage, because if you remember, you just moved house.
Yeah.
And you're doing a bit of work on your house, so your golf
still
was,
am.
you weren't. Oh, you still are. But your golf had kind of not taken a back seat, but you weren't practicing as much as what you would normally, and you were just going from tournament or pro-am to pro-am.
Yeah.
And then I was watching, like I don't know where I was, but I was just watching after round 1 or 2, and you'd shot like 7 under somewhere.
Yeah.
And thought, hello, what's he up to?
Where's that come from?
Where's that come from?
Yeah, I wasn't playing badly. I just wasn't very consistent.
Yeah.
At that point in the year last year.
Major
and,
swing changes as well, probably.
I think I'd done some bits and pieces over the winter beforehand and stuff, but I just wasn't consistent, and I think that showed in the scores that I shot. I can't remember now actually. I think
You were
I
a
shot.
few under.
Yeah, I think I shot level par first day, I think, and then I shot 7 under.
Yeah.
And then I think I shot a few under on the last round to hold on to it and to win by a couple. So it was the second round that did it, and it was out of the blue. Yeah, maybe because I was shooting some good scores and some bad
you're still
scores at the time,
one of the best players in the region, and obviously nationally. So I don't suppose it was out of the blue, but it certainly wasn't. I wasn't expecting it to happen that year.
I wasn't expecting to put 3 rounds together to maybe win a tournament at that point, but you never know. You chuck one good one in and
off you go.
Yeah, you can open things up. So yeah.
So a nice invite.
Brilliant. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest strength in the game?
Tough one, that. Probably my course management, I would say.
Okay.
Generally trying to pick the right shot at the right time.
Yeah.
Damage limitation,
And what could people learn from that? You know, you talk about damage limitation there and things like that. I mean, I'm a big one for that as well. And I've probably actually learned from you over the years of that situation. You know, make sure doubles do not get on the scorecard situation. When you're in trouble, you're in trouble, but deal with it.
Yeah. I think there's a way to play the hole that's going to give you the best average score. If you played the hole 100 times, what's going to give you the best average score? So that's the way I look at every hole, really. It's not always, you don't always play it to shoot the best score on that day. I think you've got to look at it in the long term, and I think if you do that, then you do reduce there's certain holes where you would take it on if it's worth it, and it's a numbers game at the end of the day. It's all based on probabilities, and the stats will tell you where's the best way to play that hole, and if you do it that way and then over 100 times, you're going to come out with the best average score, definitely.
But when you've shot your lowest scores, because I mean I've seen you shoot some very low scores, what's your mindset then? Do you think you're playing more aggressively when you shoot those low scores, or do you just think that it just all comes together on those days, still playing to the strategic way you stick with playing?
I think the best scores that I've shot have been when I've holed probably the most putts, and the strategy is to give yourself the most chances of birdies. You know, not to give yourself a couple chances, but give yourself a lot of chances. And and on your good days, you will make those. On your average days, you won't make that many. On your bad days, you're not going to make any. But the key is to give yourself as many chances at birdie as possible, and try and keep the big numbers off the card. If you do that, that's when you shoot your low scores. It's when you hold the putts and when you get the best out of that day.
Pace. Yep, and in. You've joined as a member down here, haven't you? Because you enjoy obviously coming down here. You don't live too far away from here. You've joined here. Is it always been a bit strategic that you play more of your golf around here as a kind of member?
It's great to come down here because it's probably the only championship course in the area. And it's probably the best golf course in the southwest as well. So I'm very fortunate to only live 20 minutes away, so I can just sneak over here. I like to come sort of late evenings and just go out and play 9 holes when it's quiet on my own, and just chuck a few balls around and just do some proper golf course practice while there's nobody about. So it works really well for me.
Good practice facilities?
Yeah, it's got everything here. There's 2 golf courses here. They've got a great pitching facility, driving range, a couple of putting greens. So it's a great resort. So it's the place for me to come and practice, no doubt.
I mean, for me, this golf course, I mean, I've been lucky enough to play, and you have as well, to play some of the best golf courses in the world. I played Pebble, which you haven't,
Been there, but not played it.
But to me, this is still up there. This is literally like, there's not a hole that stands out to me here that I think, I'm playing this hole, am I? It's kind of a golf course that I think it should hold some of the biggest. I know it's held the biggest events, but I can't see why it's not on that rota of holding big events. It's the best. It's in the top 5 golf courses in the world that I've played.
I would agree. I think there's many golf courses that are as good, but there's not many that are better. And I think we're very lucky to have it in our area, and I think with it being in our area is probably the reason why it hasn't held that many events. We're kind of out the way down here. There's not much money for sponsorship, etc. So I think to stage a big event around here,
difficult, isn't it?
It's difficult. So I think that's the reason why. But the course is amazing. So.
So there you go, there's a few holes getting out and playing with Paul. Fantastic opportunity for him to play in that European Tour event at the Forest of Arden. Can't wait for it to start happening, getting closer, 5 weeks away now. And I want to bring you along on that journey as well. So I'm going to try and do a few more videos with Paul. I'm sure there will be another what's in the bag with him at some stage, because I do know he will be playing with his clubs a little bit when it leads up to the event. Also, a big thank you to St.Mellion Golf Club for letting us have a little game here today and filming. Fantastic. Thank you very much to the guys here from St.Mellion. Remember, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing, and as always, stay safe, and I'll catch up with you again soon.